Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode here at Murrah's Motors. Today we've got my 2001 Explorer 250 and we're going to put new front rear sprockets on it and a new chain. Let's get to it. First things first, you got to get this wheel off. A minor 21 millimeter lug nuts here on the rear, or whatever the standard equivalent would be. A lot of this stuff is size that you could use standard or metric on, but I figure with them being Japanese or what have you, wherever Polaris is based, that most of it is metric. Could be wrong on that one though. Let's get it jacked up here. There we go. There's our wheel. I cannot lose it here. Now, in case you didn't know, the fronts are different, but I believe on all the probably Bosses, Blazers, and everything, these studs just have these. I don't even know what they are. Basically, a keeper washer to keep the wheel studs, which are actually just bolts shoved in through the back. And so if those are screwed up or whatever, this can come out the back when you go to take it off. So just be mindful. I've not done this job before, so we're gonna be learning on the way on a lot of it. I believe this cap here should just come off to reveal our castle nut that holds the hub on. Wants to come off. All right, we got that off. I just went and got another screwdriver, pulled the plastic screwdriver on the screwdriver. This dude looks brand new under here. Pull out our pin here, a little cotter pin for the castle nut. Now we're getting somewhere. Sometimes these things are an absolute pain to put in, absolute pain to get out. But if you can get some pliers on them, usually you can grab it and knock it out. Now this castle nut here should be 1.125". Again, I don't actually know. I watched a Mr. Fix-It video here on how to do this one. He used all standard. I didn't have a metric socket big enough anyways, so while I was in town I went ahead and grabbed a standard socket. There's that dude. Now there are two washers behind here. There's a big one and a small one, so we'll put them back exactly the way that came off. And there we go. There's our hub for the rear. Be careful not to tear that spindle up. We may throw some anti-seize or something on there. Looks like there was from factory. We go to put all this back together. All right, got the camera on a 5-gallon bucket now. So right here we got our sprocket guard, and I believe it's a pretty snug fit, but a 14 mil. Should take that dude off. Yeah. Now these are actual bolts with the nuts on them. So you will have to put a wrench over on the other side of this sprocket here on the bolt head while you take that nut off. Mine's kind of caked in mud from the years, so get it tight. Pretty tight. There we go. There's one. You just make sure you're in neutral so you can roll it over. Be able to get this one down here. The reason I knew it was time to do this job here is you can see my chain's a little bit loose, and it is tightened all the way up. So the chain is stretched, and if you can see, bring you in close, the sprockets have a wave wear to them, and they're supposed to be. Over here I got my new sprocket. Still in the packaging there, but you can see it's supposed to be pretty uniform. So here we go ahead and knock this dude out here. Now I think different models, there it is. So that's supposed to come off with this plate. And this thing is just kind of caked in a lot of mud and grease. All right, did some scraping here. Now we will come over to here. This is a 13 mil. Try to take this chain guard off. There may be a nut on the back side. There is, in fact, a nut on the back side. There we go. Now, I believe, if I can get it off, chain here. There are different ways you can set this chain guard, depending on probably how your chain is, and probably depending on the different models and stuff. Mine was all the way up in there, so as long as it's not into the sprocket by the time this is all said and done, or the chain pulling on it weird, we should be all right. Now we're going to attempt to find the master link on this chain here. So how about that? It is right here on the other side. We're gonna see that clip is actually on this dude the wrong direction. I doubt this is the original chain. whenever you do put a clip on these, I think any higher CC ATV is supposed to rivet the chain on, or any bigger chain, I guess, that's a different size. The chain I got, you can either clip or rivet it. When you put the clip on, it's basically a U, and it'll have an opening to, you know, pop it on and off. That solid part should face the main direction of travel, so that it cannot potentially get hung up, popped off during the chain. Throwing a chain is not a good ordeal. See a lot of different ATVs over the years. A lot of people have that end up with holes in their transmissions because they threw a chain. And the first place that busted chain is going is into your transmission while it slings around before it can get slowed down. So if you've never seen one before, there's one of those clips. So it was on there like that. It should have been on there like that. So we got that clip out. We will bust this link off here. And voila. Here is our chain. I believe I will double check groups before I go ahead and bust the links off to make this new one, but I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be 80 links. And so now what we're going to do, we're gonna find out where I put my tools, is get this sprocket off. Kind of hard to tell. It should be 14s too. Same size as your socket guards, whatever socket you use. And if you use a standard size, I think it'd be about 5/16, if I remember right. Good and gummy. Really should have pressure washed this thing at some point, but $14 is a little snug on these, but it also does not help that mine is covered in mud. Regular pressure washes will be in its future life, but did not appear to be. It really wasn't all in that bad of shape, but this is just a spot that it's really good about collecting dirt and mud. Be careful not to tear up your axle seal there. There we go. There's our old sprocket. So now I've got some looking to do first. Okay, there it is. So when you go to adjust the tension on these chains, you can see these bolts here. It's bolt and nut, another 5/8 or 16 mils. You have to loosen those, and it'll loosen on the axle carrier. And I think the factory book either tells you use a 2.5-inch wrench. There is a use a 2.5-inch wrench right there, or you can see where there's supposed to be a hole, which that hole in the sprocket is for. And if you come over here, you can either shove a 1/4-inch extension or a screwdriver through here, right there in that little sprocket hub. And it's supposed to line up with a spot in that bearing housing. We'll see if it does. This thing's been so gunked up that I couldn't tell if it did or not. It may help if I used a Phillips. Got one over here somewhere instead of a flathead. There's just so much mud and debris shoved back in here. There's supposed to be a hole somewhere right there, I do believe. Maybe. All right, ladies and gents, we got it figured out. So you'll see here, this is a concentric drive system. Concentric drive, they're a little bit different than like my Trail Boss up there. And so that's where I was thrown for a loop. I believe the non-concentrics have a hole all the way through the hub. The concentric drive, you can just take a punch and this hole, and there will be a hole in the sprocket, you can put it into that hub. What I was bound up on is I forgot about the brake caliper mount bolts. These are 13 millimeters. There's one on this side, and there's one underneath right there. I forgot to loosen them up. And so now you can see, we'll just rock this very aggressively. You can tell by the grease fitting that we're coming around. We have got a ways though. So let me keep getting after it here. And I'll show you when we're all the way loose. I should be able to, yeah. Right there, we are all the way loose. You can tell by those stop tabs, it's rotated all the way up. It's finally all the way loose. So, I'm gonna punch out here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and throw this sprocket on, double check it's the right sprocket, and then we will do the front sprocket. Gotta get in there and get that heat shield off. So, let me grab a new sprocket. All right, we've got the right sprocket here. Now, something you'll notice is the old sprocket didn't have it. The new have these divots. And I believe that one of these divots should line up with that hole while it is bolted up. That one's a little bit off. They're a little bit off. See, that's kind of an aftermarket versus OE deal. If that sprocket I took off was OE, but I can still get a punch in there. So I'm not particularly concerned about that. Let's go ahead and throw this dude on. I bet these are, yeah, nylocks, so. Alrighty. Barely gonna snug them, and then come back and tighten them. So our sprocket doesn't get all cattywampus on there. If I can find my ratchet here. Alright, we're gonna come over here, hold the wheels so this dude doesn't spin. put a good oomph on it. Looks pretty good. So now we are going to go ahead and go up front and change out that front sprocket. Now if you have this heat shield and or it's not really a heat shield, it's I guess keep you out of that drive shaft, and you have all the screws there. There's a Phillips screw. Same thing, like holds the air box in right there. I went and pulled that out. It needs 2 hands. And then probably should turn this to loosen. I would assume they were the same types of screw there, but it's the same thread pitch. So I went ahead and threw some M6x1 bolts in. These dudes out. And get this. Hopefully I can get this out of the way with the plastic on. Maybe I can. There we go. Okay. Now I want to try to avoid taking anything else apart if I don't have to. That is the name of the game today. So, what we're going after, and you really cannot see it. Let me try to reposition. All right, down in there is our transmission sprocket. And it's going to be hard to tell. But you can see the ends of the snap ring that hold that dude on. It's all that holds it on right there. It's a snap ring. So we are going to have to try to get, with it being concentric drive, our swing arm mount is the same level as that dude. So we're gonna have to try to get in here around this plastic that I kind of wish I didn't have in my way. Well, so much for the tip on that pair of snap ring pliers. Alrighty folks, and we're back. Apparently I did have some thicker tips with the set that came that I blew apart, so there's our snap ring. I'm just gonna reuse that dude. Take our sprocket off here. If you notice, there's your face that faces out. There's a back that you gotta make sure it has the right direction. Obviously, much thicker new sprocket, but our teeth line up, and voila, same pitch and everything. I mean, I knew they were the same. Ordered them off Part Giants or Partzilla, I don't remember. They're JT sprockets. They're supposed to be pretty good from what I hear. And so yeah, you put in your make, model, and year and all that, and it'll tell you whether it's compatible. And I double checked with the books on sprocket teeth and size and all that. But so we are going to squeeze this dude in here, get her slid back in there, put our snap ring back in. There we have it. Put our snap ring in case you don't know. The whole point of snap rings is they just act as a keeper on a round surface. They snap into a groove. That's why they're a pain to get out. So I just kind of got it started on there with the pliers, and the part with the eyes was in the groove, and the bottom one just rolled over, pushed it on there with a screwdriver, and it snapped into place. And we're back with our chain here. So I got what was recommended to me. It's an RK 520 Max O-ring chain. I think this one was 90 link or something like that. Box, you know, they tell you how to put it together, whether you do the clip or the rivet, because the 520s, they give you a clip or a rivet. Chain's already pre-greased, and all of those links are basically like peened, so they can't come out. So instead of just, I said 80 earlier, I believe it is actually an 82 link chain. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of feed this through and run it to the back to make sure of that. If that makes sense. If I can get this dude, there we go. Go on our sprocket here. I've got a bucket that does not make the best foam stand, obviously. I got grease absolutely everywhere. So we're just trying to feed this guy through. But since I do still have the chain guard on the transmission, which is just plastic, but I can't exactly just shove the chain down through there and kind of being stubborn. Grab a Sharpie so we can mark the link. Again, we have this all the way loosened up. So, what is that? Oh, my chain. We are all the way loose here. So it doesn't have to be, you know, super duper tight right out the gate. But because of how they have this fixed, I want to make sure I'm fairly right before I grind a rivet out. So that right there should be just a link. So keep that guy. All right, so we got the peen head ground off. We're just gonna, I'm sure they make nice link busters. This thing's supposed to be a link buster and riveter if you wanted to rivet it, just off Amazon. And once again, every video I do pretty well an embodiment of I'll learn hard ways. You don't have to, because yeah, I've not done enough chains to just go flying through them, and not done enough of any of this just to go flying through it. So it takes a while, but we'll get there. Just like if you're watching this video and you ain't done it before, we're in the same boat. But we will get through it together. Alright, so according to the directions, do not use a pair of vice grips. So we went ahead and put on our, said use a press fit tool, and I got to thinking, well, I've pretty well got one of them here. So we are going to see if this will work. If I can get this clip put on around here, it should but that relies on me being able to get the clip. I should have put the clip in here to begin with, but I really didn't think this would work, so back it off, see what happens. I think it's gonna stay. We're gonna move this dude down a little bit, and I think give it a little bit of a tap. There we go. Now, I'm really hoping that I can get enough slack out of that. Now let's put this back in, make sure our plate is firm against that clip. I think we're good. Our clip is good and seated. So, now, we will, as soon as I can find where around here I put that punch, we will attempt to tighten this chain up, and hopefully I do not have to bust another link out. Punch, and we will rotate until we line up with the hole in the hub. There we go. Well, don't do that. Come over here and see if I can't just turn it against it. Now, we may have been, I'm trying to find the stop on the bottom side. Oh, no, we're plenty good. All right. So we're only about halfway around in terms of where these stops are. I guess I could have looked at my grease fitting and seen that. So we have maybe a little too much played. All right, the book does call for 3/16 to 3/8 deflection at any point on the concentric drive swing arm for this chain. So we've got a little bit much. So let me find its place again. And tighten her up a little bit more. And about an inch. Now a lot of people eyeball this just for the sake of doing it. I will put a tape on her, and we're at about, and we'll say 2.5. Still a little over 2 inches, so just a little over. And I'd say that's pretty good, because as you load the suspension, the chain will tighten. So you don't want to get it too tight in case something breaks and then you're going to sling the chain. But again, if you're too loose, you can also sling a chain. So we'll come back in here. Again, we're at about 2.5. We're about perfect. I'm gonna leave it right there at about 3/8. Let me just double check, pull that out. So the slack, said if you roll the wheel forward, the slack's on the top of the chain. That looks pretty good to me. Time to start going back together with this dude. So for starters, we will go ahead and clamp our if I can find what I did with the socket. Our, here we go, caliper mount, the one that I forgot to do earlier. Once again, a 13 mil. There are some things that I do like to just use a ratchet on so I can feel it with my hands. You know how tight we really are. Those were not very tight at all to begin with, which kind of surprised me. Next, we will come back over here and we're going to put our that lower chain guard back on. So I think we were on this way. So let me just get this thing on the chain. I believe there's also actually a spec on where this goes and how far from the sprocket it's supposed to be. I believe I read 1/8 inch. I know it's pretty close to the sprocket right now. I didn't exactly pay attention to how close it was when I took it off. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of snug it up and see how we look. Let me go ahead and snug that dude right there. All right, I think we got that dude taken care of. I don't remember if I said the book says that it wants a 1/8 inch clearance between the sprocket and the guard. I'm not really sure where it wants that clearance at. But my sprocket is not rubbing, and I mean, we can't go any further forward to keep it away from it, so I think we will be okay. So now we are back to putting on our sounds like it's supposed to form real good, and I need to get this thing done so I can ride it back and grip my truck. We're gonna put our sprocket guard back on. Actually, no, we're not. I tightened that caliper up and I completely forgot that I need to tighten up the mounts here. I think the torque spec with these on, these bolts with the tow hitch, because like some of the Blazers and stuff did not have these with the tow hitch, like 40 foot-pounds or something like that. So now we will go back to putting our sprocket guard on. We will try to put this ring on first. get it lined up. Bolt stuffed. Put it back the same way we took her off. This being just a guard, I'll just run these back down. Wrench back in here. Put a little oomph on them. They were pretty snug. So I doubt I'm gonna put much more oomph on them than the short-handled ratchet. Yeah, I think we're all right here. Really should have taken this tow hitch concoction out or off before I started this. Alright, let me make sure we're not hitting anything we shouldn't be through here. Looks pretty good to me. Now it's time to put our hub back on. Alright, we'll get our hub to maybe lined up on the splines. I'm trying to just somewhat line it up with the other one. Not that that really matters. Put our two washers back on. Put our castle nut back down. I'm not sure what the spec is on these, but I would imagine it's gonna be pretty tight, so now here's the fun part. We're gonna try to back it off just enough to get this pin through, because I don't think that tightening it would be a long way, and I don't want to over tighten it. See if we can't work our pin back in through there. I don't want this to be too loose either though. A lot of times when you're torquing something, it'll say, at least some truck stuff I've done, you know, if you're covering your hole, torque it to the next one, or tighten it till you can get to the next one, but I don't think this really needs that. So I would recommend getting a new cotter pin, but this one's looks like this is the first time it's ever been off. So I'm gonna reuse it because I don't have any that are this big. And we'll try to get our cover snap back on in there. There we have it. Toss our wheel back on. Like I said, as long as those keeper washers on them studs are okay, they should hold the studs. As long as you don't just completely smack them with the wheel. And if they do want to slide around, all you gotta do is put your hand behind there on the hub. The fronts, the studs are built into the hub, so you won't have to worry about that. Try to hold it on there steady. Have it, we'll go ahead and set her down, torque her down. I say torque, I mean hand tighten to oomph. There we have it, folks. That is how we put sprockets in a new chain on, at the very least, 2001 Polaris Xplorer 250. Again, all these Explorer 250s should be the same. The concentric drive blazers, I would assume, would be the same. Their sprocket teeth are different. It's basically the same for all the older stuff too, the trail bosses, just everything. It's all pretty well the same. And if you've done it before, you got an idea. But if you're like me, you just learned it today. So, as always, thank you for watching.